Chris Broom started his working life as a junior clerk at 8 New Square, Lincoln's Inn, almost 4 decades ago. In his early days, he clerked some of the bar's greats: Anthony Scrivener QC, Mr Justice Hidden, Mr Justice Penry Davey, and Sir Graham Eyre QC, to name but a few. Chris has been senior clerk to Gray's Inn Chambers for more than 20 years, overseeing their controversial move from the Inns of Court to the heart of the city. His reputation goes before him as one of the country's finest clerks, with a well-documented passion for CSR and the Bar Pro Bono Unit. The Honourable Mr Justice Robin Knowles knows Chris through his work as a trustee for the Bar Pro Bono Unit and bar in the community. So Robin, this Lifetime Award recognises somebody who's made a significant and a sustained impact on the legal world throughout their career. Why do you think Chris Broom would be a worthy recipient?
Here's someone who's really given their life to the profession in all its dimensions, and has done so with real modesty. When I say in all its dimensions, I got to know Chris particularly when he put his shoulder to the pro bono contribution that the profession makes to look out for those who need access to justice but don't have the means to purchase it. But that, I've come to realise, is only one piece of Chris's huge contribution. All the way, he's the person who's looked to encourage the young, develop the practitioners, make the bar strong, professionalism all of the way, but always, however successful, making sure that they look out for those who aren't so fortunate.
Chris says that Anthony Scrivener QC inspired his work with the Bar Pro Bono Unit. I wonder if you can tell me a little bit about the charity side in a little bit more depth.
He's one of those people who you know is putting a lot of time into other things, but still finds the time to commit in depth to the Bar Pro Bono Unit. Now there he's served as a trustee for a good number of years, always dependable, always the voice of calm experience around the trustee board table.
I know he's very proud of the Wellbeing Group. How has that been received?
Chris was the one who saw that here too the pro bono sector can offer an example, not just for the practitioners, but in this regard for the staff that are put under a lot of pressure. They're willing to be put under that pressure. They totally believe in what we're doing. But Chris also saw that for us on the board, this was a way of fulfilling our duty of care to the staff.
At Gray's Inn, Chris clerks some of the top tax silks of today's bar: David Goldberg QC, Michael Flesch QC, Nicola Shaw QC, and Laurent Sykes QC, who nominated Chris for this award. Laurent, Chris clerked you from your days as a pupil and took you through to silk. What are the attributes that really set him aside from his peers?
Chris is very unusual in the sense that he will sense potential in places where a lot of people wouldn't sense it. He's very unconventional in that sense, and a lot of the people he's brought on have been sort of slightly unusual, not the typical sort of barrister mould. He's been quietly there behind the scenes, pushing people forward, not getting all the credit that I think he should have received for doing it. So I think I think what he really has is he sees things in an original way. Well, I think he's a legend among clerks. It's said with a clerk that it's a master-servant relationship, but no one quite knows who the master is or who the servant is, and that's absolutely true. And I think it's time. Well, I'd like it to be recognised that he has done an enormous amount for me, for other members of the bar. And while that's true of clerks generally, I think it's particularly true of him.
Is it true you call him boss?
We call each other boss. It goes back to the point that neither knows who is actually the boss, but there's some mutual respect there. So yes, that's true, yes.
When you've been a clerk for 39 years and a senior clerk for 20 odd years, I would imagine it's easy to get stuck in your ways. Chris strikes me as somebody who is very proud of the traditions of the bar, but also very open to new suggestions. Would that be a fair assessment?
I think so. I think that's absolutely right. He is an original thinker, as I've said, and in fact the fact that we are in the city, in these premises, as opposed to the Inns of Court, where traditionally people go, but there's actually no necessary reason why a barrister needs to be in an Inn of Court. It's a reflection of his thinking, because we're in the city, a lot of our clients are in the city, and it works very well.
David Barnes is Chief Executive and Director of Clerking at Atkin Chambers. David tapped into Chris's known passion for pro bono when he was chairman of the Institute of Barristers' Clerks.
When I took over in 2010, there was a bit of a revamp that I wanted to put in place within the management committee. We didn't have a pro bono champion, and I decided that I thought it'd be good for the Institute to have one. I thought about various candidates, the sort of people that perhaps might fit that role, and quickly came and thought about Chris and reached out to Chris. Chris, showed some of the skills and qualities I was looking for, in the sense that he immediately questioned whether he was the right person. But with a little bit of reassurance, he took on the role and really developed it, and went way beyond my expectation, and so much that he's now a trustee of the Bar Pro Bono unit and the Bar in the Community programme, and has really, I think, impressed everybody that he's come into contact with in that role. He's just a thoroughly honest, decent man who, after 39, nearly 40 years of service legal profession, is a testament to social mobility, how people have progressed through from a young age, through an apprenticeship, through the management levels, into a senior position, and I think he'd be a worthy recipient.
In Chris you see everything that you would want and more in a clerk. You also see a living reminder of how important the clerks are to this profession and indeed to the justice system.
He's a great ambassador for the bar, he's a great ambassador for clerks, and I think he's a great ambassador for the Bar Pro Bono unit, and for that we should all be grateful, and I think he'd be a worthy recipient.